Alright, so we're going to be doing a tutorial for Chapter 13 and uh, the actual boss. So I'm going to get a little bit ahead here. I did try and do one a minute ago, but I had to take a break. So one thing of note, Cloud is not going to be available in this portion of the chapter, so you can spam spells with him on the Broken Highway coming here as much as you want, so don't worry about it. I'm sure you already realize that, but since your MP management is a little bit tighter because you don't have access to items, you may not have occurred to you. So just piggyback off of Cloud's MP and burst your way through everything. So for the rest of this chapter, you're going to want either Metal Knuckles or Feather Gloves. I'd say just stick with Metal Knuckles because we're not going to bother going out of our way to optimize our elements. I will just for this showcase. You can also use Mithril Knuckles for these fights if you really want to. It is another optimization tool that you can have, having more magic. A lot of these enemies are weak to magic, so it works out pretty good. Barrett's going to be on EKG Cannon. He's on Geometric Bangle because I just didn't have... This is a quicker save. You can have either of them on Chain Bangle or Force Bracelets. It's really, doesn't matter. But what we need to do is basically take Cloud's setup and put it on Barrett right now. So we're going to put him on Ice, Magnify. We 100% need this. Magic up, ATB Stagger, and First Strike. You could give him ATB Boost, but I wouldn't bother. Fire Synergy here can be cut. You don't actually need that. But that's just a side effect of the way my routing works. So what we'll do is we'll give you Ice Elemental. I would suggest this for newer runners. Eventually, this is the one thing you can cut out. I'd say this is not super duper important, but it's also not useless either. So it's kind of your choice. You can cut this extra luck up for an MP up, so you have higher MP values going through this chapter. So that's basically what you're going to need from Barrett. Obviously, like I said, you're going to need at least one MP up. And you don't need this Ice Elemental. So you have 3 flexible materia. But for the most part, you need these 3. You need this, and you need the Magnify Ice. Tifa here, she's on Wind Elemental. We're going to switch that to Ice just to make this a little bit easier. Wind Elemental is for Reno and Rude. Fight in Chapter 12. But after that, you really don't need Wind Elemental anymore. And as a matter of fact, Tifa in my route doesn't get Wind Elemental for Chapter 15 anymore. So you could switch her to Ice early on, and I may change to doing that. But for right now, we'll just leave it as is. Healing and parry you're going to have pretty much the whole time. This could be an HP up if you really want to, or an MP up. I'd say healing is a bit better because it'll let you kind of squeeze through stuff even without the HP ups that you may need. As long as you can stay alive in every fight, you can heal back to full. So the only fights that are going to be very rough are boss fights if you're misinputting. Skill Master can be triggered, and same with Assist. It's very unlikely that you will, though, because of the way I do the boss fight. Binding, you need, and we're actually going to put Warding on. This can be anywhere, but this will give us immunity to Sleep, Silence, and Berserk. The enemies here will try and sleep you in the final phase. The reason we don't need that on Barrett is because we're going to have him fire off a limit so that he will have invincibility to it, or will not be able to get sleeped because of the way the limits function. First Strike on both of them, obviously, is going to be needed. And Barrett's going to be doing most of the heavy lifting to start with. So we're going to start with our spells here. We want... here you can go with Blizzara, Magnify, and Blizzard. If you want, you can either use Focus Shot, Maximum Fury, or a unmagnified Blizzard. I would say probably something like Max Fury or Focus Shot is your best choice. Focus Shot has a large AoE if you fire it off with 2 ATB, so that's pretty helpful. Let me check my notes to make sure that that's how that's set up, because I don't want to give you false information. Yes. That is how I do that, yeah. Okay, Tifa, True Strike really isn't going to happen because we're not triggering any synergies. Dolphin Flurry will be important for the boss. Blizzara will be important for the boss, and so will Star Shower. So this right here, True Strike, is not needed. And Focus Shot can also be cut, but this will help you save some magic, so let's go. One thing is you can use Goddardummerung and just catastrophe all these fights and avoid all that excess change. but Catastrophe is 15 seconds per activation. So every 4 fights, you're giving up an entire minute for fights that could take place in 5 to 10 seconds. So it's worth noting that that's worth it. Also, the flashing used to be pretty bad, but it seems to be a lot better now on the PC port and PS5 port. I don't know when it got fixed. So we're just going to kind of move our way through here. You can steal skin if you want to make sure the rats don't hit you. But it will also make it kind of hard to get the... Steel Skin will keep you from getting interrupted there. If you have a full ATB, full 2 ATB, your focus shot will be much wider. So that won't happen. But I wouldn't worry about that. I wouldn't bother using Steel Skin, just run down the hallway. If the rats hit you, the rats hit you. The Barrett's weapon does have Bloodsucker, so as you kill stuff, you're going to build more and more HP back up. So we're just going to overcharge right here, ignore that doggo, come up here, Blizzard Magnify. So we want to make sure that they're on the same level. If the dog does that, kind of come over here, wait for him to come at you. You want to wait until the dog goes to attack you. So that way they won't be able to dodge the ice. If you just throw the ice out willy-nilly, they will dodge it. If they're trying to attack you, they can't activate their ice dodge. So that's part of the reason why we overcharge right off the bat. So we're going to overcharge this guy. Roll on in here and Blizzera. This should take care of him plus the bugs. Okay, and there you go. That's how that works out. So you can be catastrophing this fight, but it's very slow and I wouldn't suggest it. It also does really low damage, so it's just not worth it. This fight right here is why I have Blizzard Magnify rather than just plain Blizzard. It's because these two are quite obnoxious. You can get feasted, so I just like to go with Blizzard if I can. So you can also do, this is just to show off Max Fury. Will rip through these enemies pretty well. Overcharge also works in a lot of these fights. You have a lot of options. Just like figure out what works, test it out a little bit. Most of these, you have very few options if you're not on Ice Elemental. Max Fury, Focus Shot, Overcharge usually won't wipe out all of the enemies in those scenarios. So just keep that in mind. So this only works with Ice Elemental because these enemies are weak to it. So I'll show you a little bit faster way to deal with this. Because like you could Max Fury, or you could just do this, right? Blizzard. The bugs will screw you most of the time, so just overcharge. You can avoid this fight and just walk right through it if you're worried about your MP count. But you can usually take that fight out pretty quick with Magnified Blizzard and an overcharge. Just Blizzard Magnify and overcharge the bugs immediately, because the chances of them getting hit by the magnified spells are, like, slim to none. If you're only running a single MP up, you're going to have some issues with your MP pool. But if you're running 2, you shouldn't have any problems at all. You only need about 50 to 70 MP, somewhere in there, depending on how aggressive you want to be with the boss. This fight right here, we're just going to ignore Tifa and keep on going. If your HP is really low for some reason, you can overcharge and kill a bunch of bugs, activate Bloodsucker over and over again to refill. Alternatively, you can just ignore them and have Tifa heal you right here while you're shooting, you know. So, don't worry about it. We're going to switch over to Tifa here and just zip on by. It's not going to save us a ton of time, because we got to wait once we get in fleeing, but better than nothing. This fight right here is pretty simple. We're just going to lock on overcharge. So I kind of want to like... no. That's not what I want to do, game. Thank you. You want to lock on to one of the mono drives and then make sure you target the other one like that. Okay, we're just going to take care of that one since he's being a pain. We're going to Star Shower into the limit here. Okay, there we go. Now we're just going to ignore everything and go. That Star Shower limit will kill. You can use a litany of spells to speed that up, but there's no reason to with this setup. So right here, we're just going to parry on up. You can use uppercut parries. When I'm on the PC, I have a different controller, so I don't really have this set up to do it properly. You can take the bench if you're worried about your MP. But I'd say for the most part, you have plenty of time. You can either heal up, or you can just let Bloodsucker do its job. Alright, so we're going into the boss fight now. Some people toggle over to Tifa as the caster in this fight because she moves quicker. I do not. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with an unbridled strength with her, and we're going to use that as an opportunity to figure out where my targeting is. Now that I know where my targeting is, I want to retarget and spam some Blizzara. So we want to Blizzara these guys. We're going to switch out with a Blizzard so we can kill a couple of those with a weaker spell, and then Blizzara these leftovers. And that Blizzara will trigger ATB stagger over and over again. So we're getting our ATB back off of each one of those magnified Blizzards. That's why his ATB is going from 0 to full, 0 to full. We're going to Blizzara magnify that guy. Come over here and wait a little bit, and Blizzara magnify for these other ones to be targetable. Okay, or these can all be really obnoxious and just... So you want to make sure you don't use your Omni Strike. You could have also used Blizzard Magnify or Blizzara Magnify. I'll show this fight again after. This part right here, you can deal with it a couple of different ways. Omni Strike is the easiest because you can keep all your ATB for the final phase. The final phase, you want to Star Shower into a limit. And we're also going to use a Blizzard with Barret. So what I need to do is turn around here, lock onto the boss, boop him in the snoot with Omni Strike, and then get out of the way since my HP is kind of low. So we're going to get out of the way here, switch over to Barret. We'll just do this manually. I would suggest doing that manually all the time because that phase can be very weird. And sometimes you'll end up locked onto the appendage instead of the boss. So, yeah, you got to be careful about that. So you can cast Spell Blizzard here on the failed experiment, switch to Tifa, and then buffer the limit right after. Now you can just double Star Shower and go to town. And now you see the Catastrophe coming through. Now we go into Dolphin Flurry, and that will 100% kill. So I'll show you the fight one more time. The whole part of this fight is the first phase is random because of the positioning of the enemies. So you just are trying to get your Blizzaras out ASAP and take care of them as soon as possible. So Blizzard, this is actually really bad. You want to be very careful about that focus shot. If you do that, you can end up in a really bad position. The ATB stagger is giving you ATB back, but you need to get five kills with Blizzara Magnify so Barret can get his limit.
You could?
Without that, you're going to be dead in the water. So between these two phases, you need to make sure that you get your full limit. Uh-huh. Okay. Okay. Barret, you want to shoot that guy? No? Yeah, that's kind of how the AI do be in this fight. But this is pretty consistent. Those three will always drop down later, and there'll be the one hopping around on the floor. Those ones on that upper platform are best to just take care of with Tifa, because she's going to have a little bit of extra ATB no matter what you do. The thing is, if she has Skill Master, she's going to activate it on Star Shower, so she'll get an additional move after that anyway, because you're going to use a spell to get rid of those guys on the top. You're going to use Unbridled Strength to get Omni Strike here. You just turn around, pop, and move, and then you can just Blizzara like this. You just got to make sure that you're locked onto the boss properly. If you see that you're locked onto the appendage, switch to the boss and try and get your overcharge as soon as possible. I'd say save the overcharge for specifically in that situation, just in case, to make sure you're okay. So, what I do here is I cast Blizzard beforehand, but you can also just Catastrophe if you have the Ice Elemental attached. Ice Elemental kind of makes this fight really easy and consistent. But there you go. That's how this chapter goes. This fight's really just more spam Blizzara. Just, you need to remember that Blizzara Magnify needs to kill 5 enemies. Not just to trigger ATB Stagger to refill your ATB, but also to refill your limit. Because Tifa starts with God or Dumb Rung, so you need to Star Shower into Dolphin Flurry to get the 70% buff. if you can set it up right, you can go Star Shower, Dolphin Flurry, which will 100% get you a kill pretty much unilaterally. So that's about it for this one. This one's not too complicated. I might revisit this later, because I feel like I may have missed something, but I hope this helps. I'll see you guys later, and we'll move on to the next one. Peace.